Welcome to Senshi Luxury Lounge. We are back with another episode with a fabulous guest, Gauri Kapoor. Yes, you know the name. She's the OG makeup artist from Bangalore who has worked with all the celebrities you can think of. And she is specialized in bridal makeup as well. So let's talk to her, get some gossip of the industry and some tips that you wouldn't believe. She came up with some of the best things that you could do to look fabulous every day. So let's see what she has to say. So Gauri, so lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And I know we postponed it a lot. You were sick, I was sick, but I'm just glad we're here finally.
I'm glad too.
Thank you. So let's just jump straight in. So Gauri, how did you start off this journey of being an iconic makeup artist who everybody knows, by the way?
I think everyone starts off as nothing. That's what you are. I think it's just one dream, one idea, one intuition, something that draws you towards it. And I think that's what happened to me after I was a mother at 20 and I went to Bombay when I was 23 and a half to study makeup. It was just a pull in me. You know, nobody's self-made person without any support. So my husband was a huge support at that point. And he said, I told him I want to go. I mean, obviously it was a shocker for everyone. But it was about a 20-day course. As a matter of 20 days, my son's 3.5 years. And he wasn't a very troublesome child or anything like that. So it just happened 20 days became 35 days. But that's how I think it was just about following your gut, your intuition, and just believing in yourself and staying consistent at it.
Okay. So then from Bombay, where did you were there for a while before you came to Bangalore?
Yeah, I said 35 days. So I studied it for 35 days.
Okay.
But I think that, when you are learning something, that's one part of it. Once you start applying it in real life as to whatever career that you've chosen, that's when your real learning starts.
Yeah. So, like you said, learning, from various people. So tell me some iconic people that you've learned from, other than, the course that you did. I'm sure over the journey you would have experienced and learned something very interesting from people in general.
I think that at the time I got into this career in 1999, we didn't have social media. It was very limited. Maximum you could see was get inspired by looking. So you needed to understand the technicals in terms of how do you achieve, how's the right way. And after I think I learned, it was all about when you want to be better at your skill, you just keep working, and knowledge can come from anywhere. Inspiration can come from anywhere. Yeah. So, I wouldn't put it as one, but yeah, once social media opened up and you realize there are lots of people who are just hyped. When you go really over there, you're like, all right, I mean, gratitude, I got to see something, but not that it really influenced me. But I think the maximum that I've learned is by pushing yourself, evolving, getting better each day and never thinking that you know everything.
Yeah, it's a great lesson actually for everyone. What would be your favorite moments? Is it a learning or is it a failure through the years?
Both.
Yeah?
You learn through your failures.
Anything in particular that you remember?
I think it's the mistakes that nobody's born to be perfect. Nobody knows how to play a role when they really get into a role. You choose to get into a role. That doesn't mean that you should be fearful of making mistakes. But I think you learn the maximum when you know you've made a mistake and you do not repeat it again. I think the knowledge of knowing that you've messed up somewhere is a bigger teacher.
And that just sticks with you forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even after 10 years, you would remember, I missed that line.
Yeah.
So what do you enjoy outside of work? This is, of course, a passion that you've enjoyed for so many years. What do you do outside of that?
A lot of things, actually, Gitanjali. Being a creative person, you just don't stop at one thing. Because, when you are creative, or let's say it's a part of you. It's a part of your living. It's a part of the way you bring up your kids, the way you keep the house, the way the relationships you share with your friends. Everything is based on an extension of who you are.
Yeah.
I love DJing. I love music. I love creating art. I love wall art. I'm the kind of a person, let's say it very simply, give me anything and I love to beautify. And that's how I got into beautifying faces.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. That sounds really nice.
It is fun. I've loved it. I've loved that aspect of me. And I'm glad I didn't kill that and I nurtured that. Because, once you know and you understand, when you're younger, you don't know so much. But as along the way, when you, believe in your instinct, I think consistency, staying truthful to what you've chosen is the hardest part. It's the most difficult part.
Yeah.
Not many people do that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Especially in this age of social media. Because there is so much that you want people to see you for what probably they want rather than show them what you
Right.
are. I think there's this curtain of pretense which comes, and I've never felt that with you. I have seen you over the years, and of course, way more than that. I mean, you've got amazing experience. I have never felt that with you.
I think the biggest thing is about being authentic to yourself, the choices you made, the roles you're playing in life.
Yeah.
It's about being authentic. Otherwise, who are you?
Yeah, I think that's where people become depressed and then they start looking for themselves.
Absolutely,
and-
because you're trying to be someone else.
yeah,
You know,
that's
that
true.
connection from you is so far away. And I have a lot of women who actually come to me to reclaim, you know, their lives in certain ways. And that could be a divorce, could be just a hard time they've gone through their lives, or maybe it could be, you know, could be anything. And I think when they actually are working towards being a better version of themselves, I think that gives me so much of joy as well. That becomes memorable for them. And it's, as you say, makeup can be a very thing, but the way you use it, I think it gives it so much power and
Yeah.
confidence.
That's true.
And that's what I've loved about my career.
So bringing that into, you know, what the essence of this podcast is about, luxury. Yeah, makeup is the essence. Makeup is part of it. Makeup is essential. How do you see it, you know, evolving over years? You've seen from the 90s to, you know, we are in 2026 right now. It would have changed. The industry has changed. So how do you see it evolve, or how have you seen it evolve?
See, I think one way I would say the way I would really appreciate the products, the products that have come into the market. I think life has got so much more simpler with the makeup that is available now. Then, jab humne shuru kiya tha, to, you know,
Yeah.
there was very limited makeup. The makeup knowledge wasn't there. I think when I started in Bangalore, not many people even understood why makeup was important. Haan, shaadi ho rahi hai, theek hai. So, you know, I started with portfolios. And how did I get into weddings? So, people really started liking my work in portfolios. And one girl, I think she was getting married, or somebody of her cousin was getting married. I don't even remember. And she said, "Do you do bridal makeup?" And I was like, "I don't, but not that I can't."
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I got into the bridal makeup. See, for me, makeup was an art, which eventually I learned is a tool of self-confidence, is a tool to extend your personality. So, you know, there are two ways to looking at makeup. One is where you're masking it. One is where you're enhancing your features.
Yeah.
The other way is where you're masking your features.
Yeah.
So the insecure, the ones who don't know themselves too well, will be okay with the masking aspect
Yeah.
because they don't know better.
Yeah.
But the ones who understand themselves, the ones who know themselves well and are connected to themselves, will like makeup, which is an extension of their personality. I think that's the biggest difference. Again, you know, I've never followed trends in my life. Trends come and go, but what hasn't really changed and still stays with me is my authenticity. And the same way, understanding what the individual who's sitting on the chair, her personality is, you know, her boundaries, her life. If you're not a supermodel, you don't really need the kind of makeup that a supermodel does.
Yeah.
But now if I'm insecure and I say, hey, I want to look like a supermodel, and I start doing makeup like her, but you're not a supermodel, and doing the makeup is not going to make you one. There are lots of other aspects which would
Yeah.
really work towards that.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, in terms of, that's what I'd say, it works both ways. One way it builds confidence. Two, I think it's become a mask. Three, people just follow trends blindly. But that's what I say. I look at it as a tool a major tool of self-confidence and an extension of your personality.
Yeah, that reminds me how Alia Bhatt keeps her freckles, and seeing that is when I realized, okay, I don't have to cover mine anymore.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So the advantage is it's like an eraser. You erase what you don't want
Yeah.
and keep what you don't want, and that's the art of good makeup, because a good makeup artist will see what she wants to keep and what she
Yeah.
wants to remove, and change what, how much.
That's true. And you mentioned about good products now. So do you see a lot of international products being accepted or in the market today, or do you also see Indian products being used?
I think both.
Yeah.
Both. For me personally, the international brands, why I'm extremely fond of them is the finish. The Indian ones, yes, there are a lot of brands which are really good, really, really good. But I still have a little thing. But yeah, I do look at, there's certain people, if they come, let's say, I haven't really, but if somebody comes and they want a mid-range kind of a,
Yeah.
makeup kit,
Yeah.
then I look into that and say, okay, this product's good. Like Nykaa, our own Indian brand, is actually a very good brand.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that Nykaa has is really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Even I use some
Yeah,
of theirs. Yeah.
They've surprised me with the quality. So
Yeah. So you've seen the evolution, and you've seen how people have understood or maybe still learning how to use makeup to enhance their features and enhance their personality. So what brings the art or what brings the magic to the art that you bring? Is it just knowledge, like you said, the product? Is it experience? Or is it what the client wants? Or is it what the client understands?
It's all of them.
Yeah.
It's all of them. See, experience is extremely important. Two is what does the client want and what you're giving. Now, if you're a brand, if the client tells me that I want something that is not really going with the personality, am I just going to do it blindly?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I have to keep my brand in mind as well, because tomorrow she can turn around and say, you know, I asked her this, she did something else completely.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a very thin line because you have to handle your brand. But luckily, I think the advantage, and I would say reliability, is a huge part of luxury, because once people start trusting you,
Yeah.
once they trust you, then you know that when they're sitting there, they believe in what you're doing. But I'm saying if there's a mismatch. So as a brand, you have to kind of understand what the personality of the person is, what they want, versus that's where your experience comes in and your knowledge comes in,
Yeah.
and then your products and your gut, your instinct.
Yeah.
There's so many times it's like my hands just keep working because you're working when you're connected. And as an artist, I would say it's very important that your heart and mind is connected. Let's say you have a lot of stress in life. You have to kind of leave that aside,
Yeah.
because that is going to invade and you will not be able to do your best job.
Yeah.
So it has to flow through you. The art has to flow through you.
Yeah.
I think that's been, and I love that. I love that. And that's why I love creating wall art or, you know, just resin art. I just love creating.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just about how aligned my body is with creativity and the flow of it.
All right. I mean, I had a question in mind now that just, you said resin art and I was just, you know, I went with the flow. I was going to ask you, how do you bring your style into this? But I also wanted to know, because you spoke about how you like it to flow and, you know, you need to be present and in it and not bring the stress of life and stuff. So do you have a process before, you know, your particular work day? Do you meditate, or do you listen to music, or do you create art before you jump into your project?
No, I don't create art, but I do like to calm my mind before I do anything.
Yeah.
Because until you don't empty your mind, you're not letting the creativity flow.
Yeah.
So it's very important that I do empty my mind. Again, you know, today at this age and after 27 years of experience, I can say this. But Pele, when I had 7-8 brides in a day, you didn't even have time to breathe or even have coffee. So I have functioned on those levels.
Yeah.
But I think when you enjoy it the maximum is when you have the time.
Yeah.
Like now, I'm like, okay, one bride books me, that day is for the bride. I don't want to go here. You know, you've done that. You've been there, done that.
Yeah.
You realize your priorities. You understand what works for you. So it's like now it's one bride and one day out. Uske 2-3 function hoenge, that's different. But my day is dedicated to that one bride. And nowadays with the travel times and everything, you can't even do anymore.
Can't do more than one, yeah. So how do you empty your mind? I mean, that's what I was trying to understand. Do you meditate? Do you have a positive self-talk?
No, I don't have a positive self-talk, but I do believe in mantras. So my way of meditation is just plug in the mantras and just sit in silence or just lie down in silence. I don't have like a disciplined way of doing it, as long as I know, you know, sometimes your body's tired, you have an appointment, that 10 minutes of rest where you're just sitting down with your eyes shut just kind of rebalances you to get into, instead of just going from one zone to another without a break.
That's beautiful. Yeah, because I've been reading a lot about that, you know, to have a repetitive mantra in the mind, or in the ear rather, that clears out the mind, that clears out
It
the
empties
soul.
your mind basically, because there is nothing else.
Yeah. All right. So little more about luxury. Then we have some exciting sessions after that. If there is an evening out, or say there is a wedding, or there is a daytime event for a bride, or even say a bridesmaid, can they, or do you see a big difference in how they can use the same products through the events, like at different parts of the day? Is that possible? Or do they have to use, say, a heavier highlighter, more expensive highlighter for the night? Is that how it works? Can we
Well, I think it's more than the brands. I would say understand your products. You know, products can be extremely versatile.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think it's a new tip now, because our mothers used to do this, where they used to use lipstick, honto pe laga liya, thoda cheek pe dal ke aise kar diya, and they were ready for the evening. Agar eyeshadow lagana that used to be, you know, and now you have 3-in-1 chubby sticks and stuff like that, all coming out on the same lines. But I think it's important to understand your product, because only when you understand it will you understand the potential of it. Like again, when we talk about shines, there are hazar shines. You have liquid shine, you have powder shines which are granulated, you have soft shines, you have smooth shines, you have invisible shines. depends on which shine works for you and when. That's exactly why we have workshops, because it depends on one, what you want, two, how you are, how your skin is, what your features, your personality is, and three is what are you expecting as the outcome. Like now, if you ask me, I'm still old school. Like the other day, one of the new makeup artists was having a seminar, and I was invited. I said, let's go see what's really happening in the makeup world. Gitanjali, I'm not kidding. She put 15 products as a primer.
As a primer?
At least 7 to 100% lagaya. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying one over the other to the other. And I'm like, is this what really makeup has come to? I mean, if I'm telling someone or I'm applying makeup, it's like there's a mask of primers and then there is foundation and then there are products. I mean, what are you? I mean, I've never done it to myself. I don't know how it feels, guys. If any one of you do it, I'm not against it, but it just didn't work for me with my experience. I've just turned 50 last year. No, this year. So. Yeah, last year. Sorry, we're in 26.
Yes.
So I just turned 50 last year. And, you know, obviously now this is the first time I'm 50. So I'm still figuring out ki mere skin ko kya chahiye, what you should do. And luckily I've been because of this industry, I've been taking care of my skin forever. But I like getting experimental. And I've come out with this primer, which is natural, which I've put right now. Where you need minimum foundation. You don't even need, you just need a BB cream. And your skin glows.
It does.
And you know, you're right.
I can see it
the
from
witness. So I was thinking, come out with this because staying beautiful is not difficult. You don't need so many things. If you have good skin, 15 primer kyun chahiye? Why don't I look at, and especially at this age, and what you want to do for your clients is simplify the life, not complicate it. If I'm going to give you 10 primers, let's say even 4, I myself have never used 4 primers in my life. I kisi aur ko kya bataungi? So it's also about how you helping the other person understand themselves and simplify their life, not complicate it. Complicate karne ke liye there are 1000 videos. You look at one will say something, the other one will say something, the third one will say something. And you're going to go to the market and buy that many products to try it out, trash half of them. So this is our life. So the better way is just go to a professional who you like. One is his style. 2, who you think can understand your personality. See, a makeup artist style or a designer style is very important, right? Any creative. Even someone making a house, doing the interiors for your house. Their style has to match with what you really want. So once you get the right person, then you are settled. Then you're in good hands.
That's true. I mean, you told me the primer. You made a primer or you've made a process?
I made it. A process.
Okay.
But I made it with the products, with all organic products, some natural products. Aloe vera, and I'm going to do a video on this, guys.
Yes, you should.
For sure.
We definitely want to see that.
I'm loving this, and I'm going to do the makeup also, show you.
Oh, I love it. Because I can really see the shine, and I know you've not used a lot of things on your face.
It's effort. It looks so good, and I just discovered it, and I'm like, I think that's what an artist is. It's not that you know everything, but it's how you keep reinventing it. How you get creative with the products you have, reinvent the products, get something else, but stay authentic to the root.
Yes, that is so important. So now I'm going to ask you a favorite problem. I find it favorite. Everybody seems to have this problem. Sorry if you don't have the problem, but a lot of people do. It's called blush blindness. Either they have too much blush, or they have too less, or they use a highly pigmented one, or it doesn't match, the cheeks don't match. Sometimes I, get really worried about that. So what is the way around it? It's such a simple problem, but how can they find a solution to that, to look perfect with blush on?
See, one is if you are not very confident with your blush application, don't take a very heavily pigmented blusher. Take something that glides. And I think Charlotte Tilbury, that's why I like international brands, because some of them really do glide on the skin. So there's Charlotte Tilbury where the blushes are really nice, the shines are really nice. They're very soft, they're very effortless. You don't have to work too hard. So, you can just put a little and just a small sweep does it all for you. You don't need to overdo it. So I would say stay away from products that you don't understand. You have more chances of messing up. I would say buy one product which works beautifully for you than to try on 5.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I use different kinds of blush. I recently figured out that there is liquid, there is powder, there is shimmer, there is baked, there's unbaked. I don't know, there are a lot of them. So I started using Cape by Katrina. So that is one of the Indian brands I thought was pretty decent.
Yeah, that's close to Nykaa actually.
Yeah.
I put them on the same line.
I think the difference that I've seen in Indian brands and international brands is the skin tone that they make it for. Because Indian brands are way more pigmented recently is because it's for darker skin rather than, the lighter skin, and I think international brands are more for lighter skin. Is
Yeah.
that a difference that you see?
So I would say, yeah, that is also true. But the international brands earlier used to have very pasty colors, the Chanel and stuff.
Yeah.
Now they've got better with these shades. But I would say just go with soft colors. And the color that you can't go wrong with, whichever complexion you are, this is not for the very deep skin tones, but is a peachy pink. Mix up peach and mix up pink and mix it with a little shine and just glide it. And again, the peach and pink shouldn't, again, not be heavily pigmented. Now, if you look at Nykaa blushers,
Yeah, they're little.
they are pigmented.
Yeah, a little strong.
Right.
Yeah.
So all the Indian blushes I feel are more pigmented. I may be wrong. If you all find something, I wouldn't know,
Yeah.
but I haven't come across something like that.
But I think that's what I read recently. It is because it's for Indian skin. It's because
It's pigmented more.
Yeah. So now moving on to some gossip. Okay, you worked with a lot of celebs in Bombay, in Bangalore, everywhere. You know, I'm not even sure how many places you've
All over the
traveled.
world.
Yeah. So tell us some stories, some interesting, some crazy.
Only celebs or just stories?
I mean, you can do both. You can say maybe one each and balance it out.
So I could tell you one of the challenging stories that I had.
Yeah.
I had a bride in Lucknow, and if you're watching this, she'd know who it is. We were on an Indigo flight, and the flight was already delayed. Her function was supposed to start in the afternoon at 2 o'clock. So we were supposed to land there around 10:30. The flight already थोड़ी delay हो गई थी, and we landed around 11:30, 12. So we went out to get our bags, and of course, carrying the makeup from Bangalore all the way to Lucknow. And we go there, and our makeup bags haven't come. I've just got my kit. So my brushes, my lipsticks, my mascaras, the main things, because the kit has all the unbreakable stuff, that is the powders and stuff. So all this was in the other bag. So we get out of the hotel at 12:30 and hotel, I'm saying the airport. And we get out around 12ish, and we're waiting. The bags go, and हमारा bag ही नहीं आया.
Oh, no.
And I know for a fact that she's getting late because 2 बजे उसके फेरे थे, and we're still at the airport at 12. So anyways, I think thank God for my experience, I didn't panic. 11:30 होंगे, I might be a little, warped on the time. So 11:30 tha, and then I went to the Indigo things, and I told them, I said, listen, I have a bride at 2. There's no way that I can do it by then. I can start, and उस time time भी नहीं था कि जाके makeup भी खरीद लो. Because to go through your kit कि क्या-क्या अब रह गया, क्या-क्या चाहिए. It was a crazy time because he was so crunched on time, and they made sure that the bags get on to the next flight, and that took some time to come. And luckily her feras also got delayed. मेरे को time का नहीं याद, but I remember she had to be ready by 12 or 1, and she got ready by 3 or 4. कुछ ऐसा था. So 2-3 घंटे का delay हुआ, but it was like the universe was there. There was a lot of stress, but the universe was by your side, कि ठीक है, हो रहा है. And it was a crazy afternoon.
शादी
the
हुई
stress.
ना?
शादी हुई, makeup भी हुआ. पूरा हुआ. Bride का भी हुआ, groom का भी हुआ.
Oh, thank God.
But I'm just saying the kind of stuff that you go through,
Yeah.
and how you have to suddenly think of plan Bs.
Yeah.
एक बार मेरा Marriott में था, I was doing a really big wedding, and so my kit was there. I went down, it was a Sunday, I remember, and normally I don't really go down, and it was a 5 or 6 day wedding. मैंने उस दिन कहा, मैं कहा यार, I'll just go down, for a change to the restaurant to have lunch. And so I was in my room, तो नहा धो के I went down, and her function was in the evening. Kit मेरी room में ही पड़ी हुई थी. I hadn't locked it or anything because हम लोग इतना जाते हैं, not that anything happens. At the time I came back in the evening, when we went for the makeover, we realized half the products are not there.
Someone stole it from the door.
And the Marriott housekeeping.
Oh my God.
And all the best products. And I'm asking, so Kiran was with me, like, Kiran, where is this? And he's like, so we both are looking at it, and what the hell is it gone? So are there products that were the gaib ho gaye, but I still did her makeup with whatever. I can't tell her at that point or put the stress. Next morning, 6 o'clock, we were flying out of Calcutta. So matlab ऐसे चीजें हुई हैं. I've had a bride who's got drunk in my studio. She got
wedding day?
on a reception day.
Oh my God.
I had her, and I had one more bride, and she was asking for, some calming medicine. So I said, and me and Kiran were really busy. I said, listen, there's a bottle of wine inside. Why don't you have a glass of wine? मैं Kiran को भेजती दवाई लेने, whatever. She said, hey, that's a great idea. I'll have a glass of wine. तो मैंने wine की bottle निकाली बाहर. I kept it over there, and I kept a glass, and I went, and I said, I'm getting on to my next bride till you picked up. मैं अंदर आ गई, and I was doing. By the time I went out, she's knocked down the whole bottle in 20 minutes. And her fiance is down to pick her up now. अब मैं ये bride को देखूँ या वो bride को देखूँ? I had no idea what to do. So I said, Kiran, please go with her. Just drop her down. I didn't see how bad she was, because she must have gulped it down to get drunk or whatever it was, or she didn't want to get married. I have no idea.
That is so
But
sad.
I was more like shit, what am I going to do with this? Of course, baad mein, the husband called me the next day and, and then he called me and he said, she's just throwing up on stage or something, kuch aisa hi hua tha. Meko yaad hi nahi tha, and I had gone, I was doing this bride. Then I rushed to her hotel to do her touch-up. For obviously out of, ki bichari kya kare? I mean, na meri galti hai, but what do I do? I mean, it's just come on me. Then I went, did it. Next day, of course, her husband was livid, but it's not really my fault.
Yeah, it's not.
She's an adult, she should know how to handle herself. All I did was offer. My only fault was I was nice. So celebrities, I remember the time the IPL had just started. Vijay Mallya had bought over Kingfisher and Virat Kohli ka pehla match tha, I think Bangalore mein or something.
Yes.
Now that I'm into cricket and still am not. I was to do Virat Kohli's makeup. Rahul Dravid was there and a lot more other cricketers were there. But Virat Kohli I remember because he was still young and
very,
so we had to do the makeup in the van at the stadium. So main andar van mein thi with my team and all that. And Virat came and he sat down. This time to obviously ladka hi lag raha tha. So and as usual mere ko kisi ka naam nahi pata tha. So he was quite famous by then already, I think.
Yeah.
So he sat down and I said, "Hi, I'm Gauri. What's your name?" So he looked at me like Virat Kohli. Okay. I was like, damn, but you're a sweet guy. I'm just thinking, obviously at that age, you must be wondering, hello, you haven't heard my name? But I hadn't. Mahendra Singh Dhoni, again, this is all the IPL times. Of all the days we had, shoot on the 1st of January. And I was partying on 31st January.
Of course.
And I said, yeah, it's a guy's makeup, Otherwise, I take my work really seriously. But that night, I just couldn't avoid that party. So in the morning, I was hungover as hell. I remember doing Mahendra Singh Dhoni's makeup when I was totally hungover. Then, which other celebrities? Deepika I have done a zillion times. So not zillion times, but she did her first launch in, her first movie was a South Indian Aishwarya.
Yeah.
So I had done the promos. So wherever she was to be seen in crowd, I used to do her makeup for her songs for the movie. So that's how we got to know each other really well. I had a store on St. Mark's Road. So she used to come for her shopping as well. And she had really large feet. So that's what she used to say. Okay. She's tall. So she's like, Gauri, I never get when you go again to Thailand or wherever you go, just get me my size of shoes. I never get them anywhere. And it's such a problem. So I remember whenever I used to go shopping for the store, I used to keep her shoes in mind. And then call her and say, Acha, I've got the new stock, come and see. Then before she went to Bombay, she and 2 more models came to me to learn makeup. Obviously, when you go into Bollywood and to get the right skills and stuff like that.
Do you see her, her makeup has also evolved over time. And
she's evolved over time.
Yeah.
I think, when you're getting better with yourself in each day, then every aspect of yours is also improving, right?
Yeah.
And plus you have the best in the industry to be taking care of you and to be learning from. So
and her face has changed. I mean, she changed her eyebrows.
Yeah.
I think back then she had, sharp arches and now they're much more soft.
I think the way she carries herself, the way she says, I mean, she's worked so hard on herself.
Yeah.
I think everyone just sees the glamour, Nobody sees the hard work that goes into becoming who you are today.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't come from a film family. Bangalore girl, she was so young.
But I think what I loved about her was the clarity she always had, the confidence she always had.
Yeah, that is true.
I think that's what sets the winners apart, right?
Yeah, gorgeous woman. Okay, so now I would like to do a rapid fire.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be rapid and give
As
some
rapid as I can be.
Yes. Very simple questions, but fun for sure. All right, so the first one is luxury in one word.
Reliability.
Okay, good one. Deepika Padukone in one word.
Gorgeous.
Favorite makeup brand.
I think the Armani foundations.
Okay. Worst makeup brand ever.
Lots. All these influencers who promoted, मैंने कितनी बार मंगवाया, and when you actually try them, they're like, shh. It's like धोखा.
Okay, she didn't answer that question. All right. So your favorite trick of the trade, something that is just yours, that you like to use on your brides or any of your clients.
One ingredient, you mean? One
Anything.
product?
It could be like the primer you mentioned that you put together. Something that you just try. Maybe you put something more or something less, just to give that gory touch.
I think I was the one who started lenses for small eyes.
I definitely need them.
I think they make a huge difference when you're doing makeup. But certain makeup artists just use lenses on everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on everybody.
Yeah.
You need to understand the face on who it works and where it really makes a difference.
that is true. So name 3 Indian brands that you use.
I would say Nykaa. Nykaa is one of my favorites. I think the Revlon Kajal. I've been using it forever and I still love it. It's not, I don't like the smudge proof ones because I feel they just get too sticky and stale.
Yeah.
They're not versatile. So I still love that, the Revlon pencil. No, but I do remember when I started my career, Maybelline.
Oh, that was
That
good.
time we didn't have MAC, Makeup Forever,
Yeah.
kuch bhi nahi tha.
Yeah.
I made my name with the 100 rupees eyeshadows. That was VOV, Maybelline,
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So I would still, I think,
that is true.
yeah,
Really
I would still
nice.
say Maybelline eyeshadows were
Yeah.
good at that point, and they still are.
Yeah, and so is their
Mascara, yeah. I haven't tried that.
I like, and budget mein fit hota hai.
No, but I've heard about it. I
Yeah.
heard about it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, secret questions. Now, I want to give this to you if you can read my handwriting. That is
Sure.
my only
Let me
concern.
try.
Okay, so we're going to do 3 secret questions. This is the first one. She has no clue. She's going to be shocked. It's not that scandalous.
One makeup item you keep buying and won't ever give up. I think lipstick. That changes your mood. It's just all about colors, and that color can completely change the way you look.
That's 1, 2. I always have lipstick.
Nothing else
Just
really
two.
comes up to that. Sweetest compliment you ever received? I think because I've been in this industry 27 years, I've had brides. I think मैंने उनकी बहनों का makeup किया होगा or something like that, and they said we waited 12 years, 15 years to get married just so that you could do makeup for us.
Sweet.
I think, and it's not one. I've got so many like these compliments, and that's when you have gratitude for what you've done and who you are. That just
Yeah.
makes you feel all, thank you.
Yeah, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last one.
Your favorite celebrity to work with? I would take 2.
Okay.
I would say Deepika and Anushka. Deepika, of course, because we worked so often together. Anushka, because I had a store on St. Mark's Road, and I remember she was working with Prasad Bidapa. We had our store launch, and since I was in the industry, I had organized the models and I was doing the makeup and everything. And I remember paying Anushka 1,500 rupees for her to walk the ramp. I do wish I had the pictures, but that's a really sweet memory of Anushka I still have.
Yeah, oh, that is very sweet. So actually, I wanted to add to your response in the second question about, sweet compliments. So we spoke to a lot of people and everyone knows you, like I said. So we've had models that we spoke to. We've had brand consultants. I'm sure you know Tamanna.
Of course.
And some brands also who have worked with you. I think the most common thing that we have heard is Gauri is just fabulous. And not just the work, but also the person that you are, the ease with, which you work with people. And even this podcast we put together, in fact, she's like, okay, please take my place. Just come here, have coffee, just relax. Not everybody does that. It's one of the life's privileges to know you and to work with you, of course. So these are things that we've heard and I have personally seen as well. The other thing that people keep saying is Gauri is OG, and people from Bangalore definitely know, because there was a time where it was only Gauri. There was just nobody else in the scene. It was just Gauri. Now, of course, younger people who have come in, a little bit of different styles, but Gauri's style never fades.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
so sweet. So
Yeah.
sweet, Gitanjali.
So, Gauri, such a beautiful time I've had speaking to you.
So have I.
And thank you for taking time out. You had such a late breakfast and you made it, to sit here and speak to me.
Pleasure's all mine, darling.
Really enjoyed
Loved having
it.
you all over. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I have one small thing for you. This is a thanks from
Thank
us.
you.
And
Thank you, guys.
some lovely things, a little bit of senshi in here. And it's a dramatic necklace. I know you
That is so
you
sweet.
definitely put it.
This is beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
thoughtful.
Gauri.